Hello there, Loving Without Boundaries community. Happy holidays to you. I can't believe it is Monday, December 4th of 2023. We are in the holiday season already, which is just amazing that another year has gone by. And that's another year that we get to serve all of you. So if you are new to our community here on our Facebook, our closed Facebook group, we want to say welcome. If you've been here for a while, we want to say thank you for being here and creating that safe space for everybody. If you are seeing this not in our closed community, know that you can come over. If you do a search on Facebook for Loving Without Boundary, healthy, open relationships and lifestyle freedom, you can come join our group over here. We do Facebook Lives like this. We have lots of great content and support there. If you are coloring outside of the lines of heteronormative monogamy and are looking for a soft place to land where you can feel that you are shoulder to shoulder with other people who are doing their best to live their most authentic lives and are looking to find ways to not struggle as much, to not have so much unnecessary suffering, that's exactly why B and I do our work here. And I want to thank you, B, for being here with me today. And our topic for today is learning how to navigate conflict that inevitably comes up in any relationship, whether it's a monogamous relationship, a friendship, a business relationship, but there are some exponentially bigger challenges that can come up with consensual non-monogamy or polyamorous relationships, partly because add more people, you're going to add naturally more complications, more problems, more ways that we can miscommunicate with each other. So thank you, B, for bringing up this really important topic today. And I'd love it if you got us started on talking about this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kiri, for starting us off. So what I want to address first is it can be so incredibly common to have feelings of shame and guilt when we notice in ourselves that we are not really good at yet to navigate conflict, to address our differences effectively. So I really want to encourage you to remember that in many cases, we are not specifically taught how to navigate conflicts carefully. And to be honest, we often don't have the best role models, either while growing up or later in adult life. So with that, I would like to invite you to type it in the chat if you can notice any patterns thinking back for the past that might have influenced you, how you feel about conflict and how you navigate conflict. And I'm thinking about, for example, have you witnessed that in your environment, how conflict was handled? It wasn't handled at all. So things were get swept under the rug. So nothing was basically discussed. It was like, we just don't open the door. We don't talk about that. Or was it maybe closer to like huge explosions and huge and massive fights, or somewhere in between the two, which was more like my experience, that certain things just weren't discussed at all. And I also witnessed a huge explosions throughout my life, starting in my family. So sadly, we might have absorbed unintentionally some limiting beliefs around what conflict means and where it leads to. And when just think about the word, like I invite you to think about the word like conflict. What does it start in your body? How does it feel to even just consider this word? Because to me, it still feels some contraction, because there were certain things, as I mentioned, that I witnessed, and there's certain fears that still come up in me, even though I've done quite a lot of work around that. So I just want to say that these type of fears are really normal, but what matters is if we're able to identify these and do something about that. I want to mention a few quite common fears. For example, this fear leads to no good. It's just better to not ruffle the feathers, or I'm going to be seriously punished. I don't want to face that. Or what am I about to say? My partner's going to take as criticism. I'm going to be rejected. I'm going to be abandoned, or my needs don't matter. Or possibly have that fear that it's better to just stay with harmony. And sadly, while harmony can be on the surface, if we don't address things, if we don't address feelings and difficulties and differences, underneath all that, we can be swimming in the sea of negative emotions, for example, sadness, disappointment, resentment, that just keep piling up and poisoning our relationship day by day, minute by minute. To further expand on the negative impacts of what it can mean if we don't have the proper skill set and the right attitude, the constructive attitude to conflict resolution, to navigate differences. One of the ways that we can end up with our partners and any people in our lives is ending up in a painful cycle of perpetrator, victim, and rescuer, what we call the drama triangle. Sadly, what can happen with this is that we enter into this combative stance with each other, and we can shift positions, sometimes with the perpetrator, sometimes the victim, sometimes the rescuer. And what can happen is that someone needs to win, which means that the other loses. But the sad news is that if someone wins, if someone either enters in the position of power or powerlessness, then everyone loses, because it's great to remember that our relationships are our biosphere. This is what we breathe in. This is what we live. So if there's frustration, sadness, and tension, even from the person who feels powerless, who feels who lost, then we also lose, because it breaks the thread of the connection. So when this happens, that we end up with this cycle of things don't get resolved, things don't get addressed, of course, the natural consequence is that our needs are not being met, because we don't communicate them effectively. We can come together as a team. And what else can happen in this cycle that I mentioned is that, and I'm curious if you notice this in yourself or in your relationship dynamics, that we start talking about the incident, that something happened, the triggering event, and the discussion starts escalate really quickly, and we start mentioning the trend that this always happens, this never happens, and it ends with talking about each other's characters, like you're rigid, you're unapproachable, you're unbearable, you're horrible. And what happens when we stay with this negative core image of each other? Of course, it's just going to land us likely in the feeling of powerlessness, anger, and frustration, stuck in problems, stuck without resolution, and possibly avoidance as well.
Mhm. Thank you for bringing up this really, really important topic. And like we started, we experience conflicts in all of our different relationships, yet it can just be multiplied when we are dealing with consensual non-monogamy, with multiple partners, with also the intense emotions that can come up when we are practicing consensual non-monogamy, which, as you said, be so eloquently, can bring up a lot of fears of abandonment, fears of what we sometimes say, fear of loss, fear of having less, meaning less time or attention with our partner, or a fear of never getting back maybe the way we started that relationship. And that is important to realize, that there can be paradigm shifts that need to happen when we are potentially opening up our relationship or practicing consensual non-monogamy, or also even a paradigm shift when we're possibly moving from consensual non-monogamy or maybe an open style relationship or practicing the lifestyle over into more polyamorous relationships. That can also really bring up a paradigm shift. And so one thing I'd love to share here is that there is we don't want to just paint the gloom and doom here. We want you to know, like, there's no shame that you need to feel around experiencing conflict in your relationships. Conflict is normal, it's natural. It's more that one needs to get advanced skills, or possibly to dial up their skills. Like, maybe you think you're a good communicator, but maybe you're a communicator at like a 6 or a 7 level. And when you're going to be practicing consensual non-monogamy, you may need to dial that up to a higher level of advanced communication skills in order to help navigate conflict. Maybe you need to get up to an 8 or a 9, or ideally a 10. And that can also be increasing your empathy muscle too. Because if our partner is sharing with us their feelings, it can feel possibly like an attack, or it can feel maybe scary to hold the space and receive those feelings. So that's why it's important also to learn how to build your empathy muscle so you can really hear what the other person's experience is, see it from their perspective. And that's exactly how we help a lot of the people that we work with, is we provide advanced skills and we role play and help you understand how to have some of those challenging conversations, so that instead of sabotaging your relationships or breaking down trust, or possibly creating distrust or disharmony, instead you're learning how to take what used to be maybe a really big argument or a fight that where you would create some damage in your relationships, and help you learn how to build trust back into your relationship, build emotional intimacy, which then of course will lead also to physical intimacy if that's something that has gone down in your relationship as a result of practicing consensual non-monogamy. So these are really, really important concepts that we want you to know, that conflict could be a sign that maybe there's a value incompatibility, but oftentimes conflict may be a sign that your relationship actually wants to go deeper, and you just might not have the skill set right now, or even the mindset to be able to navigate up and out of that, so that you can deepen, heal, and get to a better place, your relationship. So I'll give the baton back over to you, B.
I like that you mentioned, Kiri, the skill set and the mindset, because I really want to say that I tried many approaches before, like reading books and looking for those shiny communication skills that I can apply in my life. And I realized that the strategy itself is likely to not work. I have to put a powerful mindset behind. So what I learned along the way, like practicing and up leveling my skill set to an advanced level, is that being able to navigate conflict and our differences gracefully, really powerfully, coming together as a team, it's more than simply just having the right strategy and the right communication tool, word by word, that we navigate through. It's a way of being. It's, as you said, Kiri, it's bringing empathy to that. It's getting self-respect. It's respecting the other person's worldview. It's the ability to be present in the moment, to move away from the grasp of our emotional triggers, so we can really lean into the conversation, to really listen, to really co-create something with our partners, a positive outcome and safety with each other. So even though we might not have absorbed the right skill set to navigate difficult places in our relationships, it's definitely something that can be learned. And I also want to highlight that sometimes we might think that if we have disharmony and cracks showing up in our relationship, that there's something wrong with us, that we are not compatible. And that might be the case. At the same time, it's important to remember that this ebb and flow of harmony, disharmony, and repair is natural to all close relationships. And that's not gonna in itself create resilience long term in our relationship if we have just these positive and connecting moments that are just easy and flowing. What's really gonna create resilience, moving away from fragility and overwhelm when we face some obstacles, is that we survive the mess together as team, coming together powerfully to intentionally create our relationship outcomes. And that's a learnable skill. So that's definitely the good news about that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, B. Yeah, I think it's so important for folks here to have that sense of hope, that this is something that they can learn how to navigate, even if you've gotten into a vicious cycle of where you feel like there's tension, or possibly even arguing or even screaming matches every single day. Sometimes that's what people reach out to me for when their relationship is in crisis, right? It's like you have to take your relationship to the emergency room. Okay. And so we do help people at all different stages of that journey. So even if you feel like your relationship is in crisis, maybe you're on the brink of a breakup or a divorce, or you just can't go another day with another screaming match or deep misunderstanding with your partner, there is hope. You can actually learn skills to help navigate this. One thing is to realize, like, when is not a good time to have a conversation. That's where we help people understand too is if you're not in a good mindset, if you're not fully resourced, if you forgot to eat lunch that day, or if you're feeling highly triggered, right? Like we help people understand when is not a good time to have that conversation, and how to have a productive talk with your partner to say when is a good time to have a conversation, so that we can bring the best version of ourselves to that moment in time to help you influence a better outcome. And we talk about lots of different ways to also prepare to have some of those conversations, so that you're bringing your very best energy, your very best thought processes, as you're also building the skills to have healthy conversations where you're building bridges, you're building connection, you're building understanding, and you're learning how to vulnerably share your experience without making the other person wrong, without it landing like an attack. Learning how to get out of that cycle of attack and defense, right? Because that just breaks down relationships like nothing else, right? And can also breed resentment. And resentment is a relationship killer. It can really become a wedge between people that doesn't have to be there. So it's totally impossible to move from feeling disempowered and maybe not having healthy boundaries, and really learning to reclaim your power from whether you're finding triggers from the past, or maybe there's newer triggers, as you two have, or 4 or 5 of you have been arguing, and there is absolutely a way to navigate up and out of this. Anything else you wanted to add before we start to finish up the conversation, B?
Yeah, I loved everything that you shared here. I would sum it up like just really briefly is that when it comes to navigating our relationships, especially CNM relationship, it's so much complexities, urgency, that reactivity can be our enemy, and having that pause to step back from our feelings to create powerful strategies of how we advocate for our needs, this can be really our friend. And I also want to share my personal experience that I so much love to embrace conflict. To me, from a dreaded place where I came from in the past, it became something that I just invite into my life. It's not that I'm looking for places of conflict, but when I notice that something needs to be discussed, I approach it with an open mindset, with curiosity, and I see it as a place for so much growth. It's deepening connection. It's really making our relationships more intimate, closer, building stronger foundations together, because as I said, we survived the mess and we built something on that. We keep building the structure up together with each other. So to me, that's something to really embrace.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, B. And again, thank you for bringing this really important topic up here. And so for our community here, we love serving you. We deeply care about your well-being and your happiness. I hope you can feel that in our energy when B and I do these Facebook Lives. We're here to serve you. We're here to help you as much as we possibly can. So if you are looking for more guidance, more support, if you think you would like to work with a mentor or a coach, it all starts with a conversation. That's what B did when she first reached out to me over 2.5 years ago. That led to her being a part of the team now, which we are so blessed to have her as part of the team. So if you are struggling, if you think you do want some extra help, it all starts with just having a conversation. And you can book that call simply by going to this link that we just put up on the screen here, lovingwithoutboundaries.com/apply. And when you go there, that'll just take you right into my calendar. You simply find a time that works for you. And then there'll be a brief form for you to fill out that just helps us set us up for success in that call, to give me a little bit more information about where you're at, so that I can best serve you and be really prepared. And then we'll jump on that call. We'll have an honest and authentic conversation, just figuring out what is alive for you. What are some of your struggles? Where do you really ideally want to be? And if I feel like working together, I can help you, myself and the team can help you, we'll lay out a plan of what that would look like. And you can make a decision about how you want to move forward. And if we're not a fit to work together, the timing's not right, I will let you know that as well. And I will do my very best to steer you in the right direction, so that you do get some massive clarity and you get the support that you need. Either way, we're glad that you're here in our community, and we want to wish you a happy holidays, and we will see you really soon. Anything else you wanted to add, B?
Yeah, that to me, this has been a beautiful and really important conversation. So I invite you all who are watching this to really consider like our words, and especially Kiri's words, that it's absolutely possible to upgrade our skill set, and from reactive individuals, from this me and you consciousness, someone must be right here, move into a become proactive teammates who work together and create fulfillment together. And that's one of the most beautiful places to be. And it is indeed possible with the right skill set.
Thank you, B. That was really awesome way to wind us up. Yeah, you can create win-win-win opportunities in your relationships for everybody involved if you're willing to put in the work and build that muscle. So with that, we'll say happy holidays. We're glad that you are here. And until next time, we'll talk to you really soon. Bye.
Bye.